We are not rare, but before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio Grassman or even the Michigan Dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods, folklore is unlocked.
Welcome back to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week, we are taking a look at an unsolved possible serial killer case dubbed the West Mesa Bone Collector case.
And the description of the case is that the remains of 11 women were buried between 2001 and 2005, and they were found in the West Mesa of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the suspect, or serial killer, was dubbed the Bone Collector. And it's highly suspected that sex trafficking was partially to do with this.
And we're going to cover the victims, or at least names and the dates they disappeared. And if we mispronounce any of their last names, we're sorry in advance. Two very, very white guys. Just trying to line the mood because this is kind of a heavier case. And you'll kind of see that when we announce our next week's episode. But on to the confirmed victims. The first victim was Monica Diana Candelaria, who was 22 at the time of her disappearance on May 14th, 2003. Then we've got Victoria Ann Chavez, 26, who disappeared June 5th, 2003. Then we've got Thelania Tareen Edwards, who was 15 and disappeared on August 17th, 2003. Then we've got Doreen Marquez, 24, who disappeared on October 10th, 2003. Then we've got Veronica Romero, 28, who disappeared on February 14th, Valentine's Day, in 2004. Then we get to the odd, sub case in which both Jamie Caterina Barella, 15, and Evelyn Jesus Maria Salazar, 27, who were both cousins, both disappeared on March 26, 2004. Then we've got Virginia Cloven, 24, disappeared on April 13th, 2004. Then we've got Julie Cindy Nieto, 24, who disappeared on July 15th, 2004. Cinnamon Elks, 32, who disappeared August 20th, 2004. And then the other kind of somewhat odd situation, Michelle Gina Valdez, 22, disappeared on September 22nd, 2004. And what makes this odd compared to everyone but Jamie and Evelyn disappearances is that Michelle was 4 months pregnant at the time. And then under the discovery of the remains on February 2nd, 2009, so a little under 5 years since Michelle disappeared, a woman and her dog were on a walk when they found a human bone, and fair enough, she called the police, and the investigation led to the finding of the 11 sets of remains. And as you could tell, victims ranged between 15 and 32 years old, with Michelle being the pregnant victim, so technically 12 victims. Most were Hispanic, with Solania being the only African American victim out of this whole case. And victims were allegedly linked with drugs and being women of the night.
Then there was some satellite imagery involvement. So, taken between 2003 and 2005, there were some satellite pictures taken, which shows tire marks and disturbances to the Earth. And the last victim was thought to be buried in 2005.
Yeah, and then there's I didn't know how to word this, but there was some residential development that that helped, but the help wasn't really intentional or intended to happen. And development began around 2006 near the West Mesa, and due to the 2008 housing bubble bursting, it halted the development before reaching the burial site, which probably would have, picked up the burial site before 2009. And the developers built a retaining wall near the burial site for like rain from storms, which led to the accidental exposure of bones leading up to the February 2nd, 2009 discovery of the first bone found.
It always surprises me how many different housing developments are built on burial sites. The amount is pretty high.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Doofenshmirtz meme that says if I had a nickel for every time something happened, I have 2 nickels. It's a lot more than 2. We would have a lot more than 2 nickels.
Uh-huh. And then we have the Lorenzo Montoya, who is a pressman at the local printer, lived about 3 miles from the burial site, and had been arrested twice for attacking sex workers. He also threatened to kill his girlfriend and bury her in lime, which is very, very suspicious. Strangled a 19-year-old sex worker, Sherika Hill. He was shot and killed by Hill's boyfriend, Frederick Williams, and police suspected that Montoya had probably killed before, as they claimed the crime was too violent. Then the bone collector's murders appeared to have stopped after his death, and video showing him having relations with an unidentified, possibly dead woman.
Yeah, you can kind of figure out what relations means in this context. And going on to our thoughts, I think this case isn't connected to sex trafficking I personally think that Montoya is a very realistic suspect in this case, just due to his history and the timing of his death and attempt stopping the murders. So that's my thoughts on this.
Yeah, I agree. With Montoya having such a history of attacking and threatening people, he does seem to be a very good suspect for this. And just adding to it that the killing stopped around the time of his death makes him very likely to be the killer.
And with any last words, Ethan?
No, just thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, drop us a like, not a like, a comment and a follow. And we'll see you next week with the Michael Jordan's first retirement conspiracy.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Marie Laveau or the Rougarou. At Folklore Unlocked, Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world, sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, but folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokaloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like a phoenix, coming back around again and again. The laser strain on your brain if you got more than 2 brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney's dead because they read into the Mandela effect, which is subject